Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Fuel for Success. This is episode 258, and today's a Thursday, and we love Thursdays. And this Thursday, just like every Thursday, we're going to be talking about business development, life coaching, entrepreneurship, um, and guitar chords. No, we're not
You
going to
give
be
us a
talking about
guitar
chords.
lesson today,
I
Mike?
told Matt yes. The first thing you need in order to play guitar is you need a guitar. Get one. Okay, that's lesson
Hey, you
101.
did give my son Caleb
Um,
some good lessons. So anybody that's looking to hire a good guitar lesson person, Mike is your go-to guy. He gave Caleb some good tips.
yeah, Yeah, the thing is, I understand it really well. I'm just not real good at playing it. Um, I'm not bad, but I can't sing. And it's like to play guitar, and just people are like, "Oh yeah, I know that song. What is that?" And you start singing, they're like, "No, no, stop.
Please stop.
Okay, please stop." Um, so anyway, hey, so we got a bunch of questions that we're going to cover today, primarily about business development. And as you know, we are full blown in a technology slash health and fitness startup right now. Matt and myself, we're business partners in and our the product that we just launched, My Health 90, is exploding in growth. Incidentally, if you happen to be watching this and you're interested in investing in a technology startup, let us know. Email me, mike@mattmaddox.com, and we'll be happy to talk to
Be
you.
a very wise
Um,
investment.
and
You want to become a partner
definitely,
in a company that's Mike. I literally believe this. I Facebooked it this morning. I believe it's rising to the top of all health and fitness because of the purity of it and the way it produces results the right way. And the support and the
yeah, exactly.
encouragement you'll not get anywhere. Nowhere. Nowhere. Doesn't exist.
It's a one of a kind situation, um, and definitely nothing else like it in the market. Sorry, I had some things going on my screen here. I got slightly distracted. Come on, Talk Show 101. Focus on the show. All right. Hey, we're glad everybody's here. Of course, if you have questions while you're watching live, type in the chat box. Email us, mike@mattmaddox.com. Shoot us a text, 727-341-5599 or 9er, or Snapchat me, or Facebook message us, or tweet us, or tag us on Instagram. Any of those things will work. Listen, we're all over the map. We're everywhere. You can't get rid of us. You can't avoid us.
We're
We're
coming
coming.
for you. And Mike's right. This talk show is fuel for success. Our goal is to give you daily coaching and motivation and inspiration and content to just push you a little bit, to give you some practical tips on how to be a better person, how to be a better businessman, how to be better in sales, better in marketing, better in money, better in life, you know. So this is what it's all about. And of course, we probably have archived over, I mean, I know we have 257 episodes. Today's 258. You can watch any of those by going to fuelforsuccess.tv, and they're categorized. So if you wanted to watch only our business shows, just click the business link. If you want to watch, we got 60 plus shows about relationships. Some really good stuff there. Even if you are in business, you want to know as much about relationships as you can.
So Tommy says if he was doing any better, he'd be Matt and Mike combined. I don't even want to think about what that would look like.
It would be Tommy.
It would be Tommy. Tommy taking over. Tommy taking over the world from his corner of Virginia, and we're happy for you. I saw your new biking shoes on Facebook, Tommy. I'm not a huge bicyclist, but I'm thinking about getting into it. I may have to call you and get some advice. Hey, so we've got a
bike at a Mission 25 this year, Tommy. Speaking of Mission 25, Mike, in business, Mission 25 is right around the corner. We're about 71 days from our first Mission 25 in New York City. So, we're going to have the registration up in just a few days. So just check out the website at mission25usa.com, and you'll be able to register for free and no charge. I think that's cool, Mike, that we're able to do that we're able to, somebody was asking me last night, and they meant it. They were like, so what do you guys charge, like $2,000 to attend one of your missions trips? I'm like, actually, we don't charge at all. They're like, are you serious? Like, I was thinking you guys would charge like $2,000 for an experience like that. I'm like, no, we don't charge anything. So, I think that's cool.
That is cool. So let's move on to our first question, and we know a little bit about partnership, and what's interesting. I was going to mention this morning since you brought it up, Mission 25. We're talking about business development, entrepreneurship, and those sort of things. Anyone who's interested in starting a ministry, a church, a nonprofit, listen, you have to follow business principles to grow that thing. Just like if you're planting a church, if you're like creating a ministry like Mission 25, or even maybe you want to open a rehab house for drug addicted single moms or something of that nature. There's business principles that you have to follow, and things that you can learn from the business world that you can apply, because it all takes administration, it takes structure, and all those sort of things that the things that you have to do the things that you want to do, and that's all involved in business. So this show can be helpful in those arenas as well.
Good quote.
So first question, and this is a great question for you and me, because we're actually business partners and partners in ministry. And first question that came in: what are your top 3 secrets of a successful partnership?
Well, Mike and I actually.
I'll play softly while
yeah, you just play. That way you don't have to listen to the answers. Mike, the 3 top secrets of successful partnerships, number 1 has to be communication. I mean, things can go south in a hurry without communication, without being on the same page. I've seen a lot of partnerships where, because of ego or because of stubbornness or because of pride or because of just strong will, things kind of get out of hand because they don't communicate. One goes one direction, one goes another direction. Thankfully, Mike and I can only share from our experience, maybe things we've done right, things we've done wrong, things we've learned from. But communication is number 1. Number 2 is trust. Like, I'll give you an example. To have a successful partnership, you have to have trust. And I'm not talking about trust, is he going to steal money? I'm not talking about that type of trust. That goes without saying. I'm talking about the type of trust where you trust your partner. You trust that, he's got your back. He or she's got your back. They're going to make it happen. They're going to work hard. They're going to do the right thing. And like Mike and I, literally, we communicate about everything, but there's times we have to make decisions at the spur of the moment. And there's honestly trust there. And of course, like there'll be times when Michael, I'll just be like, hey, I trust you. Like, done deal. I trust. And when I say I trust you, I mean it. I'm like, hey, no worries, man. No sweat. I totally trust your judgment. And that's a safe feeling when you trust your business partner's judgment. Because sometimes calls have to, we had a business decision over the last 24 hours that Mike decided on that he didn't talk to me about. And there's no like hurt, there's no anger, because there's trust. There's like, hey, good move, awesome, And you can't, if you have an ego, that can't happen in a partnership. If you've got to know every little detail, if you're that type of person, you're probably not ready for partnership. If I see it that Mike just got off a phone call with one of our number 1 clients and he Facebooks about it, and I'm like worried the rest of the day, or I'm like, wonder what Mike and him talked about. Like, if Mike knows I need to know about something, he's going to tell me, and vice versa. So there doesn't need to be this absence of trust of like, well, what if it was a client that was, frustrated with me and they might have been bending to Mike? There's got to be a trust that, hey, Mike, I see a lot of immaturity, I think, in partnerships when it comes to this. And also, I think that there needs to be, in a partnership, not only does there need to be communication, not only does there need to be trust, there needs to be a balance of skills and strengths and weakness. There needs to be, that's how a partnership would be more powerful. You can't, rarely can you get into a partnership where both people have the exact same strengths and the exact same weaknesses. And the ability to just cut the leash and let your partner go in their strengths and not ever become jealous or insecure or, that kind of stuff, or never compare. There's got to be a security in a partnership, because in a partnership, you're going to do different parts of the business. Some are not as sexy as others. Some are not as exciting as others. Some don't bring as much credit or glory, and then that's just part of it. Like, that's what makes it. But at the end of the day, when you're healthy up here and you're healthy here, it makes a partnership all that more powerful. But if you're codependent, if you're insecure, if you're jealous, if you can't handle other people getting the credit. I love the quote, Mike. I believe it was Winston Churchill that said, it would be amazing what we could accomplish if we didn't care who got the credit. And I think that's what makes Mike and I be able to go so good and so fast and do so much together. It's because we literally don't care who gets the credit. We don't care if people like him more or like me more. Well, first of all, they're not going to like him more. So.
That's right. How could they?
We have, and have fun. Have fun. Keep a good sense of humor. Mike, we should sit down and seriously write a book about this subject, because I believe we have a lot we can help people with.
Yeah. We're actually going to give Pacey the credit for all of our success.
Without it.
Since she's offering.
With no Pacey, we're done.
We're definitely going to get it. Hey, I appreciate the kind words, Pacey. And the Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they should be called the sons of God. I don't know if this gets inverted when you look at it. I just wrote down a quick equation for all you math geeks. Success is equal to 1 over ego. That means that success is the inverse of ego. Math. Apparently, Matt is so averse to math, he just leaves. He's like, show me math.
Talk about math.
And for that reason.
You talk about math again like that, I'm done. Good analogy.
Matt's like,
I love that. Can I get a picture
of that? Reason,
save that.
I'm out. What?
I want a picture of that equation you just wrote up. Snap it to me, because I want to save it. Thank you, Brent.
Well, Instagram. We're going to use it.
I think
we're going to use it for a
creative awesome business partners.
Absolutely.
I think they should start some type of business. I think they ought to start a dating service or something. I can see them running like some killer dating service. But they would need us in on it for sure. So we want a piece of that pie, ladies. Hey, Mike, what about you? What would some tips you would give in business partnership?
Well, much like my equation, definitely get your ego out of the way. I think it's important to be a team player. Just like on a football field, there's skill positions, and none of those guys can do anything if there's not offensive linemen. And so that really create the pillar and the foundation of the team. And so it's important not to let your ego get in the way. And also to understand that, and I really like what you said, Matt. I just want to touch on it again, because you said, be secure in who you are in the partnership, and understand that if you go into partnership with somebody, it's because you have complementary skill sets. And don't get wound up that your partner is like, a rock star at something that you're not good at. You should celebrate that, right? That's like the epitome of a good partnership. It's not like, oh my gosh, well he's, here's a great example. Matt can literally, I can ask him a question off the cuff, and he can go, I'll give you 5 reasons why blah, and he can just go. I can't do that. Straight up, there's no way I can do that. I'll sit down for 30 minutes and write something out and scratch it out and make new notes and prepare, and then I can go, here's my 5 reasons why blah, blah, blah. And that's why if you see on the show, you'll notice there's a difference in personality. I'll ask Matt a question, he'll answer it, he'll ask me one, and I'll repeat the question, and then I'll delay, and then I might drop off the show and make some comment and make a joke, and then I'll come back and answer it, because that's how long it. So there's differences, right? And at the same time, I'm pretty sure that Matt would have a hard time developing a mobile app. Just saying, right? So,
Absolutely.
well, clearly I would too because it's taken us a while, but uh, but you know what I'm saying? There's different skill sets.
And I don't know. I think Mike might have just cut out. If he did, he'll be back in a second because it could be me. Is he frozen? Do y'all notice his screen is frozen? Um, but I just want to say this: like, find a way to go into partnerships. Partnerships are where it's at. You know, people are like, well, I don't want to do a partnership because I don't want to give away part of my business. The best thing I ever did was go into part. I would rather give away 50% of my business and have 100% of Mike Hopkins, and I think he feels the same way. So you got to look at it bigger than like, well, if I go into partnership, I'll lose 50%. No, you're looking at it different. Like I'd rather have 50% of Apple than 100% of the lemonade stand. So don't be the small-minded person that doesn't want to share the wealth, so to speak, because if you get the right partner, you may give. I'd rather give away 50% of $1 million than keep 100% of 200,000. So think big, and that's why some people don't go into partnerships, Mike, because they're afraid to give away part of the pie, if you would.
Yeah.
They don't want to share. They don't want to lose. They view it as losing. I don't ever view it as losing. I never view, because I know that I'm getting so much more. I'd rather get 50% of all that we're doing than 100% of what I could do on my own. And I think Mike feels the same way.
Right. Um, and one of the things that I was going to say also was that keeping the vision for where you want to go is important, and that sort of helps keep you focused, keeps your ego out of the way, and don't look at the ground right in front of you all the time. Keep your vision, your focus on where you're headed. Like why you created the partnership in the first place, what the direction you want to go, and that'll help you stay focused on the things that are important. Um, Follow-up question on that, and of course, I guess we get along okay. We like each other. Um, you just overwrote my question.
I'm
You
sorry.
want to grab this one first?
I'm sorry. No, we'll get to that one second. Go ahead and get to the one you were about to ask. I'm sorry.
Can you be a partner with somebody you don't like? Was the question.
Um, Mike, my initial response to that would have been no. You cannot. You should not be a partner with somebody you don't like. That would be my initial response. However, there are certain types of things where you can get into partnerships where you really don't have to interact with that person much. There's
Right.
such a thing as silent partners. So I'm not going to paint people into a corner and say don't ever go into business with someone you don't like, because there's certain things that you may need in a partner that thankfully I like Mike, and we have good chemistry, we have a blast, and we
Right.
can have fun, we can vacation together. But I'm not saying that I would box myself into a corner and say that I would never do business with someone that I wasn't like fishing buddies with, or that wasn't like my best friend, because at the end of the day, business is business, and sometimes you actually need, and this is where growth comes in for people. Sometimes you need people that you may not like. Now, I'm not talking like you don't like them. There's just some, Mike. There's people I don't like. I don't like. I don't click. There's no like, and I know Mike feels the same way. I mean, I probably have more people that I don't like than he does because he just likes everybody. I'll just be like, Mike, I don't like them. I can't explain it. I don't like them. But I wouldn't again, I would say I wouldn't want to unless I had to. Unless I saw the value, I wouldn't suggest it, because at the end of the day, it's always better to work with people you like. What's your take on that?
My take is that trust is more important than liking, and you may. Well, listen, you may actually, if you get a line of credit from a bank or do a loan with a bank, you're technically business partners with them. You may not like the banker so much, but you're doing business together, and that's okay. Um, but you definitely have to have trust in the relationship. Um, you know, that's a tough place to be, man. If you have to work with somebody, you definitely need to be able to get along with them and like them. And sometimes you can rise above that and overcome it. But if you're thinking about going into business with somebody and you don't like that person, it's not a good idea. If you end up in a situation where down the road something happens and you end up not liking somebody, then it's probably a trust breach anyways, which is going to be difficult to navigate. The question that I think Anthony had asked, can we jump back to that real quick? And I like what Pacey said about having a written agreement. I don't, you know, a lot of business people do deals and business deals on a handshake. Maybe not a lot, but it is good to have things in writing, if for no other reason than to make sure that there's clarity in what's the situation is. So writing it down always brings clarity. Sometimes if my thoughts are muddled, just for myself, I'll write it down. You know, I'll just write it down, then tear out the sheet and throw it away because I don't need it. But the act of writing it down, getting it on paper, expressing it written, can help, you know, clarify the thoughts. So,
Very good.
what about having more than one partner? How would one navigate that? Anthony's asking.
Well, again, it would depend on the structure of the business, and it would depend on what percentage that person would be a partner, and it would depend on how much of the company you would want to give that person. So, you know, again, I mean, I would have to know a little bit more about what he's referring to. Like, you know, Mike and I, we're actually open-minded to more partners, because we have such a big, huge vision. But we're very picky and we're very particular, and we've passed on people before only because it just, again, they could succeed. Just because somebody passes on you or you get passed on, it's not a doesn't always define your character. It's just sometimes not a good fit. It's like in dating, right? I know Al's on here. It's sometimes not a good fit, Anthony. But how you would navigate it is, this is what I was going to tell you. I really believe in the law of, and I read it in a marriage book actually. I believe it's called the law of joint agreement. And it's that you never do anything that your partner doesn't enthusiastically agree with you on. Now, I will say this. There's times in a partnership, Mike and I have disagreed. And one of us, because we're not afraid to give in, we really don't. We keep our ego at the door. And there's times I'll say, you know, Mike, I really don't agree with this and I don't like it, but I'm going to trust you, man. And if this is what you feel, I'm going to trust you. I don't think it's the right. And he's literally done the same to me. And we don't like hold grudges over it. And we never come back and say, see, I told you. It's going to bite. You know, in other words, there really has to be open communication. So let's say I wanted to bring on another partner. Obviously, the first step, Anthony, would be to talk to Mike. And then the second thing would be to, make sure that Mike was at peace with it, and then to probably have a three-way conversation and explain the dynamics of the business and clearly define the expectations and the roles.
Right.
You know, that goes back to communication. What would you say about that, Mike?
I think that's great advice, and again, I'm not at all opposed to having more than one partner in a partnership. It is important to have clarity about who's what the roles are and who's bringing what to the table. There needs to be here's one of the things that sometimes eludes people when they first start thinking about this is you have to have an equality in the partnership in some measure, right? So some people can bring talent, some people can bring a book of business, some people can bring cash, but everybody has to contribute in a proportion that's equal to their percentage of the partnership. And so a lot of times, like even in like articles of incorporation or a partnership agreement, for example, you'll literally spell that out. Like, here's the responsibilities of this partner, here's the benefit for this partner, so that there's equality. And the reason that that's so important is because down the road, 3 years, 5 years, when there's a lot of success, the last thing you want is a situation where it seems like somebody, gave 3 times as much, right, and is getting a third of the return back, because that just causes problems and can be destructive to the overall business down the road. And so you want to have that. Listen, it's law of fair exchange, right? You can't get more than you give. It's just all there is. You reap what you sow. And so if one partner is sowing sparingly, they should reap sparingly. And that's only fair. So, so
Yeah,
just make sure that you spell that out, you understand it, it's clear throughout the entire thing. Um,
absolutely.
Hey, I want to jump down because Adam asked a question that is a good one. We've addressed this in part, in past shows, but good to see Adam. And he says, how do you separate work and family relationships if you hire family for small business?
Well, the first thing I would tell you, Adam, is avoid hiring family at all costs. And again, I believe there are exceptions to the rule. The rule is try not to do business with family. Try not to, but I'm saying there's times you can. I'm not saying that, I don't believe that you need to take just because there's a bad experience in one area doesn't necessarily mean it's forever a bad idea. So my initial advice, if I was consulting somebody, I would say, if you could avoid hiring family, do it unless, there's got to be some, Mike and I have actually done almost an entire show about this very subject about should you hire family, and if you should, what should you do, and this, that, and the other. How you separate it is exactly what I told my son when we step on a baseball field. I'm not your dad. When I coached him, I expected him to immediately respond to me just like he would any other coach on the planet. And I meant it. And I didn't treat him as my son.
Yeah.
And that's just something that only mature people can do. And of course, I see this a lot in the baseball world. Sons and father coaches sometimes don't work because sons have entitlement thinking, and then dads give their sons preferred treatment. And I was never that way, and the same way has to go in business. If I hired my brother, and, that doesn't mean that he can just go golf every day and, not return clients' phone calls and, not show up to appointments or whatever. So again, the how you separate it is separated, meaning when you're at work, this is business. When work is over, we're family. You know what I'm saying? The same thing with it's like that to me. That's the only way it would have to work. And again, Adam, the key word is without offending. Then if the person is safe and they're emotionally stable and they understand the big picture, they're not going to get offended. You got to correct an employee that's a family member the way that you would correct a non-family member employee, and the family gets offended because they're family. Terminate. Because listen, where there's smoke, there's fire, my friend. And small usually represents what big is going to be. And if you're seeing little things like that now, then it's just not a fit. It's not a fit. Listen, it just literally is not a fit if they get offended. And they can't say, I can't believe you would talk to me like that. I'm your cousin. I've been I'm your mom or whatever. You got to hire your mom. You got to sound, see, mom, you're not filing the papers the way we want you to, and I really need you to do it like this. She gets her feelings hurt. Bam, you got to fire your own mother. Listen, and I really believe that because business is business, my friends. It's not Disney World. It's business. And sometimes in business, you got to make tough decisions. Mike, anything you want to throw on that? I like what Pacey said. Business can't be personal, and it can.
Yeah, and I think it's if you are going to entertain any of those notions, set the expectations as strongly, as firmly, and over communicate them as much as possible. But my experience has shown that no matter how much you express the expectations when you're dealing with family and even sometimes just people that are in your close circle, maybe people in your church or whatever, there could be that entitlement thinking that Matt spoke of, and entitlement causes people to expect that law of fair exchange not to apply to them, and so that they're getting extra for less or whatever the situation is. So
I could not help but hurt myself laughing. See, you that watch the archives and you miss the live chat, you're missing it. You never know what's going to be said over here. Alan Pacey's conversation is quite entertaining. It's hysterical. I like what Tommy said about Levi. that he had to listen. Sometimes you have to let family go, and that's why it's best to just not do business with family. You know, it's like if you rent your house out to a family member, look, they should pay rent on time just like anybody else. You know, and never get upset if you get upset, or obviously not, like, like there's so many ways, and thank God we got this show every Thursday, because then there comes the side of, like, don't talk down to people when you correct them. Don't attack people. There's a balance on both. When you have to correct somebody, are you going to empower them? And sometimes when people are failing on the job, sometimes it's an issue of they don't know, or they don't have the skill set, or you haven't trained them right, or you haven't been clear with them on what your expectations are.
It's good. Should you hire somebody that you don't like?
Yes.
But if you feel that this person could be helpful for my business, so we're instead of a partnership, we're talking about
$1 million in sales at My Health 90, and I couldn't stand them, I would hire them every single day. So yeah, absolutely you should. I mean, this whole business of I gotta like everybody, it's overrated. At the end of the day, you want to like people, then that's what your friends are for. Business is business, man. You go to work, man. And get the job done and produce results. Do I gotta like the person? If someone is producing, now listen, I believe in being likable. I don't believe in being a jerk. I mean, when I say like, I mean, that can be broad. So, why don't I like them? Do I not like them because, they're quiet? Do I not like them because they work really fast and they don't small talk? Do I not like them because they don't put up with BS? I mean, why don't I like them? So I'd have to know more, like, the why of why you're not liking somebody. Yeah, Mike, would you hire somebody you didn't like?
Yeah, I'm going to sort of bootstrap off Mary's question here, because she says, if you don't like a person, is it your intuition telling you something you should listen to? And that's actually a good question. And I think it depends on, like Matt said, what it is that you don't like. If there's a character flaw in somebody that I don't like, that's something that could end up being detrimental to the business. And so at the end of the day, my decision to hire somebody or not would be based on the health of the company and not my own personal feelings. So I would definitely ask the question, what is it I don't like about this person?
Yeah.
Right? Is it just that they're culturally, different from me in a way that just it's just not my thing? Because if that's the case, whatever, right? It doesn't make any difference. Is it good for the company? If I don't like them because they're a jerk to everybody they talk to, well then, even if I feel like they can bring, $100,000 book of business, I'm going to say, you know what? At the end of the day, I feel like this is going to be detrimental to our business because you're going to talk rude to our customers and blah, blah, blah. And so it's not a good deal.
Or mistreat other employees. Like, there's got to be values in a business. When values get corrupted, people got to go. It's one thing to have personality flaws. It's one thing to have differences of opinions and beliefs. But when you're you got to know every employee needs to know what your core values are. When those values get violated, people got to go, my friend. And I mean values. I'm talking like, hey, we live or die by this. So what are you laughing at, Mike?
Pacey is asking if she promises not to flirt with all the young men, would we hire her? Well, we actually like you, Pacey.
I don't know, being that Al just called her a cougar right here on the show. My boy Al, I love that. I love my boy Al. Mike, we got time for maybe one more question, quick, and what would that be?
Little question. Biggest sales lesson you've ever learned in all eternity, of everything you've ever learned, everything you've ever done. Biggest sales lesson you have ever learned.
The biggest sales lesson I've ever learned is...
Just for the record, he just pulled a mic. You see how he repeated the question? Delayed.
That bought me time to think about it. So while I'm repeating the question on this side of my brain, this side is like thinking, okay, what's the biggest lesson? The biggest lesson. You put pressure on me about the biggest
I know.
lesson
And
ever.
then I call you out.
Yeah, exactly. Which bought me more time. So I actually have the answer now. Thank you. You know, the biggest lesson I've ever learned in sales, Mike, was a person that I sold a service to. It was a high dollar amount, who told me no, and he got angry about it. And he told me no at least 7 times, and he was angry. I mean, angry with me about the 7th time that I asked him. Literally hung up on me, was so angry. And I'm talking like probably was about a $10,000 service. And I remember calling him the 8th time, thinking, look, what's he going to do? I mean, you know, it's not like he can hit me. It's not like he can shoot me, you know. And I called him the 8th time, and I said, look, don't hang up. I know that you don't want to hear from me, but I got to ask you one question. Shoot me straight, man. Tell me 3 reasons right now why you won't do this. Give me 3 good reasons. And there was a long pause, man. And he said, I tell you what. He said, I can tell that, you know, it was a service of training and whatnot. He said, I can just tell by your persistence. If you're this way, he literally said this. And he was a businessman. He was a tough businessman. He was Italian. He was tough. He goes, but if you're this persistent, knowing how angry I got with you, he said, I'm going to do it. And literally, I collected a $10,000 sale that day. And it taught me a valuable lesson that no, like I literally believe you should hear the word no at least 9 times. Speaking of no, like to all you single guys out there, you know Grant Cardone's called his wife for 11 months before she ever would return his phone call? I mean, literally, like, said no. I didn't even know how many times he said it. Was well over like 70 times. You know, she said no. He kept asking her out. So, like, Mike, persistence really is the key in sales. And I know most sales, listen, 1% of salespeople go here because you do risk coming across annoying. If you're okay with people thinking that you're annoying, you'll make more sales. Because no, usually when people say no, it's either because they don't see the value or they're afraid. Or because they really don't have the money. But rarely is it because people don't have the money. Usually they don't see the value, and usually they're afraid. When they see you persist, like it was, I'm telling you, the guy hung up on me. He was angry. I thought he would never speak to me again. And I called him the 8th time the week later. It was literally the eighth phone call. So I think I would make 8 phone calls to make $10,000. What about y'all?
You know, that basically the same thing that I would answer this question is no is not always no is not no forever. It's just no for now. And understand that situations in life changes and all kinds of stuff, right? And you just keep doing your thing, and somebody who says no today may easily say yes tomorrow, and it doesn't, you know, you don't necessarily know the reason why, and that's it. It's not no forever.
I'm going through it right now in something with our business, on somebody that's told me no, not verbally told me no, but with their actions, probably over 30 times, and I'm still going after them. Because with me, it's a game, and this is where you got to listen. That's why most people can't handle sales. For me, it's a sickening game. I'm such a persuasive person that now I don't even care about the sale at this point. I just want to know if I'm good enough to persuade them. You know what I mean? So for me, it's gone game style. When I go game style, it's over. I'm winning.
Yeah. There is, you know, when I use the success as the inverse of ego, there is a certain amount of ego involved in sales. Like, you know, you got to be like, you know what, I'm going to win. And you got to convince yourself, you know what, I'm going to win. You got to have the tenacity to say, I am going to win, and go after it. Same in business.
Yeah, I'm going to leave you with a quote, my friends. If your dream and your vision does not scare you, then your dream and your God is too small. So all you that are playing it safe out there, you need to get a bigger vision, and you need to really make God your partner in business. I mean, you know why Mike and I are successful? God is our partner in business.
Right.
And when you go into partnership with God, my friends, you can do anything. He gives you power. He gives you strength. He gives you energy. And he gives you favor. Yeah, that would be a good book cover, Anthony.
It would be. Appreciate
So
that.
there's your quote for the day. Some Tommy said, how do you get that dream a huge? You know, Tommy, by not fearing, like thinking so big, like by speaking it out and not fearing it, and not justifying it. And ready for this? And keeps creating bigger dreams until you're scared, till you're literally scared, till you're like, oh my God. You know, like Mike and I have a goal to make $100 million in the next 5 years. And that's not even a joke. That's like, and I'm scared because I know it's going to happen, but I know what it's going to take to get there. And it's just scary. You know, it's all there is to it.
That's right. Great show today. We've gone 40 minutes again. And
yep, it's our show, and it's the last show until Tuesday. And hey, guys, always know that you can watch these shows on iTunes, YouTube. Go to fuelforsuccess.tv. And I want to give a shout out to Spreecast. We don't say thank you enough, but you know, if by some chance the owners or any of the employees of Spreecast, Mike and I want to say thank you because you know you guys are doing a tremendous job. And we thank God for the platform of Spreecast, Mike. We've been able to impact over 425,000 people plus, and we're grateful to be a part of it. We're grateful to be able to use this platform here, and grateful to be members of Spreecast, paying members, right, customers of Spreecast. And then last but not least, if you're not in My Health 90, today's your day. Today, go today and sign up. Listen. You don't have to be overweight to be in My Health 90. We have people that are in tip-top shape that are in My Health 90 just for the coaching. You literally would absolutely love this, and it would totally give you energy, motivation, accountability, coaching, and it's just awesome. It really is. So go check it out, myhealth90.com, and join today. If you can't pay for it all up front, just pay the weekly payment. Make it happen. You know what? Think bigger. Make it happen, my friends. Do whatever it takes to join, and join today. Tony Robbins says this: never leave a seminar without taking at least 3 to 5 action things within the first 2 hours of that seminar. So like, look, man, if Mike and I gave you something, go act on it. Go make a courageous phone call. Al, go ask a girl out. Go ask 5 out today, Al. Do something courageous, my friend. Have a blast. We'll see y'all Tuesday. Don't forget tonight, Mike and I have a free webinar tonight at 9:30. Mike put that link up there. We're going to be on at 9:30 tonight talking about emotional eating and why emotional eating is killing you. All you got to do is click that link and join it. It's right there on the site. Click it and join our seminar tonight. Thank you very much, Tommy, for your kind words. Thank you, Pacey. And we love you guys, and we'll see y'all Tuesday.
God bless y'all. Have a great Thursday.